I said Ted is apparently coming.
Okay.
Oh, is he?
Good evening. I'd like to call this meeting to order, our regular meeting of February the 6th, 2024. As we gather today, I would like to acknowledge on behalf of this committee and our community that we are meeting on the traditional territory of the Algonquin people. We would like to thank the Algonquin people and express our respect and support for their rich history. And we are extremely grateful for their many and continued displays of friendship. We also thank all the generations of people who have taken care of this land for thousands of years. Please join me in a moment of silent reflection. And during that time, we lost another one of our community icons last week, Phil Skibo, or named Willard. Please keep him in your thoughts also. Thank you. I appreciated the opportunity to attend the Roma conference last month. It was a good opportunity to meet other mayors and CEOs from across Ontario and discuss various municipal topics. Even though many of these municipalities are larger than ours, there's always a way to format an idea to fit our township. In the future, I will be bringing forward a request for sessions aimed at smaller townships. I think many mayors in our region would appreciate those sessions. I'm sure Tammy will be discussing Roma in her report as well. Bill and Maureen, do you have anything you want to add on your experience?
From my experience, it's always really informative. It's really nice to get ideas from other municipalities. I always come home a little bit charged creatively, so I'm looking forward to bringing some new things to our township.
Yeah, and I really appreciated the opportunity to attend, and I agree with your comments that it would be nice if there were more things aimed directly for small municipalities. It seemed a number of them were aimed for larger municipalities, but I think that can be corrected. Definitely lots of economic development ideas running through my head after attending the sessions.
Okay. Does any member of council have any pecuniary or financial interest to declare?
I just want to apologize for being late. I was at a fire call.
Now, delegations. Erin, would you like to introduce your delegation?
Absolutely. We have one who's still a little bit late. He'll be coming in within the next couple of minutes, but
There he is.
there he is. Starting. So I think I know everyone here, but I am Erin Dino, and I am the director of the St. Francis Valley Healthcare Foundation. And with me tonight is Bruce Wilmer and Dr. Joe Cebulski, and they are volunteer members of our campaign leadership team. And they're helping the foundation to raise funds for the redevelopment of the emergency department and renovation of the ambulatory care services area. So we're here tonight to share some information with you about this very, very exciting opportunity. And we're just going to start off on the first slide, Tammy.
I apologize for my lateness. I was on the telephone. It's my youngest son's birthday today, and as I was walking out the door, he called. I'm just trying to talk to somebody else. History of Kerry. How far does this go back in the community? It goes back to 1935, when there was the first hospital in Barry's Bay, where the old theater, or beside the theater, on the south side. 3 beds. After the war, there was a bunch of citizens got together that were interested and felt that a hospital was needed in the Barry's Bay area to serve basically Killaloe, Carmamere, Wilno, Madawaska, and they estimated about 25-kilometer radius. This gradually progressed very slowly, and in the late 40s they got together and were allowed by the government of Ontario to pursue for a charter for a hospital. And eventually that was granted in May of 1952. And then they seriously started raising funds, and it was quite the chore. The percentage that the government provided was not as high as it is now. The Ontario government provided $30,000, the federal government $30,000, and the county of Renfrew $15,000. And the estimated cost was approximately $450,000. If I get ahead of myself, let me know. It gradually progressed, and eventually things looked like they were going to come to fruition, and they did. Shovels in the ground in June of 1959. Hospital opened for first patients in November 1960. There was, what was their development? Oh yeah, 87. By the early 1980s, it was becoming evident that the hospital was too small for the area and being quickly outdated by newer technology. Our initial emergency room was one room with a narrow 2-foot wide metal table. That was it. In the waiting room, you could see through the doors into the waiting room and hear everything that was going on. Eventually, the government allowed a redevelopment, and in 1987, this did happen. Within a large emergency room to a total of 6 beds, 2 of which had doors on them, the rest had curtains. This sufficed for a while, but as technology advanced, the nurses' station accommodated 2 people, and it soon became apparent that the 2 people would not be working there. There would be 6, sometimes even more than 6. Very crowded, no sight of vision. We couldn't see what was happening to patients that were behind curtains in closed doors. And the idea of expansion and opening a larger area would be in order. The current emergency department is about 37 years old and was made or built to service about 5,000, a little bit better than 5,000 patients. Currently, we're seeing almost 11,000 patients a year. And this has become very congested with a severe lack of confidentiality and basically just space. As far as visits to the hospital, approximately 63% of the visits are by emergency patients or emergency, what we call interactions. As the number of doctors continues to dwindle in this province and other provinces, thanks to our wonderful provincial governments, the doctors that do come, even itinerant doctors, they demand even the latest of equipment. a lot confidentiality. They want the newest of the new equipment, which is costly, and I don't blame them. Really, this is the way they're trained. We sometimes have to improvise. The first chest tube I had to put in Barry's Bay was not a chest tube, it was a mushroom catheter. They didn't have them. For potential new recruits, it's probably, the emergency department is probably the most essential service we have. There's a huge distance when you're critically ill between Barry's Bay and other areas that could service critically ill patients. Huntsville is about 150 some kilometers away. We get patients from as far away as kilometer 4, kilometer 5 from the west gate of Algonquin Park. Bancroft, their facilities are no better than ours. They're even more cramped, and they're about 75 kilometers away. Renfrew is about 95 kilometers away. Arnprior is 127. Ottawa is 180. So we're in the middle of nowhere, and the government has realized this more recently even, I mean by government, provincial government. And they have tried to speed up the different phases that we're going through in redevelopment. And on to challenges, I mentioned some of them. No separate or private triage areas. Now with COVID and with SARS in 2003, we realize that we can't have one door. We can't have everybody going through one door and sitting in one big waiting room, breathing everybody else's air. They're going to get sick. And we can't let that happen. So for different departments, you need different entrances, different registration. This takes space. There are no private areas for grieving. I did mention the privacy doors. And I mentioned the communication desk, lack of space for multiple trauma. Like my best day in the emergency room was when we had the one room, and I had 14 patients come in from a T-bone motor vehicle accident. Luckily, nobody died. Accessibility to bathrooms, they're not really, the one bathroom we have is really not accessible. To put another bathroom in, there's no space. And so overall, space issues. In spite of this, the physicians try to
Do the best they can.
do the best and motor along. Last night I was doing some reviews or trying to go into further history into how fundraising was done for the initial development of the hospital. And I was cornered by Dr. Chen, his resident, and 2 nursing staff, telling me all the problems they were having. They had no place to put patients. Appropriate place. The triage, some of you may be aware of the CTAS triaging 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and if it's CTAS 5, that means immediate resuscitation. That's done in our waiting room. If an ambulance brings a patient in, it's a little bit different, but there's no place to do this. When COVID was rampant, we put a tent outside the hospital and did the triage in the tent. I think Yes, I did. Challenges. Yeah. I was trying to do the notes without having to read it.
Yeah. You did well.
There's a lot of, it's like the average person has a hard time comprehending this. Like if I mention FAST, FAST stands for bedside ultrasound. These are little machines that you can do an ultrasound, the chest, the heart, various areas, even starting IVs and abdomen. And the first course I took for FAST, and the first FAST machine we bought was just north of 20,000. And approximately every 3 to 4 years, the technology improves so dramatically, and the resolution is so dramatic. When the new doctor comes, they say, you haven't got a good FAST machine. I don't know how to use this one. And so we purchase another one. But when you purchase another one, it's up to 30 or 40,000. And I think the last one that we purchased was just south of 50. And these funds have to be raised locally. The government doesn't give us anything for this. So the bottom line is either we want this service or we don't want this service. There may be an argument that healthcare is the Ontario government's job to provide. Yes, it is. And they actually provide more funds than they did 60 years ago. And however, they can't provide 100% of the funds. There's very few areas in Ontario that they will provide 100%. And the reason given, and I ended up discussing this with our mayor in Madawaska Valley, because he wondered about that too. And the reason is the provincial government wants proof that we really want this service. And that's our job. And that's why we're here.
Thank you. So the opportunity with the new build. So we're going to see drastic improvements to the overall design, and the new build will also address critical concerns with privacy, limited space, and infection control. So in privacy, all the exam rooms will be self-contained, so no more curtains. The triage registration area will be enclosed. There'll be a quiet room for those in emotional distress. Going to be adding on 6,000 square feet. So there'll be a larger centralized communication center for staff. Enhanced sightlines for staff as well. You're going to see a lot of glass walls with privacy blinds that can come down. There's going to be a dedicated entrance for the emergency department and a separate waiting area as well. So not everyone will be waiting in the same area that you see now when you walk in through the doors of the hospital. There's going to be a dedicated space for EMS personnel, an enclosed ambulance bay. So ambulance will drive in, patients can get out and will not be exposed to the elements. Walls separating in terms of space, there'll be a wall separating major treatment and trauma room that can be opened, so when more space is needed in cases of trauma. And just designated spaces for equipment and medication. There'll be a separate medication room as well. Back in the 80s, not quite as much equipment around. You'll now see medical staff walking around with WOWs, they call it, workstation on wheels. Those didn't exist before, so All of this is taking up space. Infection control, there's going to be a isolation room with a separate washroom and standardized decontamination space. So it's going to be very state-of-the-art. And next up, there's also going to be a 6,000 square foot renovation within the existing footprint of the hospital. Big renovation to the ambulatory care service area, and the ambulatory care services offer outpatient services such as like blood transfusions, wound care, telemedicine appointments, so you can access specialists from the city, so you don't have to drive all the way. It's a very popular program right now. So the renovation will see, you know, more space, more exam rooms, better flow of services, a separate waiting area, and a new telemedicine consultation room. So we're just gonna play a quick video just to bring everything to life, and I'll talk my way through it. So we're just gonna start off.
I see it.
Okay, so
I can see it.
It's really good.
All that's I'm gonna do, so we're on slide 9.
There we go.
Look at you.
Okay, so this is the main lobby area that everyone walks in now. This area will not be for emerge patients. It will be used for people waiting for lab x-ray appointments. And there's going to be actually 2 registration areas, one for lab and x-ray services. And we're going to head into the renovation, the ambulatory care space. So you see a separate waiting area for the ambulatory care patients. And just walking down a corridor, that's the telemedicine consultation room. And we have some workspaces to the right, along with 2 exam rooms with exit doors that lead out to the emerge waiting area. So these 2 rooms can be used as overflow for the emerge. And these are some more exam rooms. And we're just walking back out. And we're going to see actually a sub-waiting room. So this is after you change. You'd wait in there for your appointment. And some designated storage space. And we're going to walk out and back out to the main lobby area. And we're going to go into the new emergency department. So, you see the registration area for emerge on the right. You can see that it's semi-enclosed, more privacy. And this is triage right here, so again, enclosed. This is the separate waiting area for the emergency department. To the left, gonna be more chairs than that. Separate entrance for emergency. And I'm gonna go back into the emergency department communications center on the right. You're gonna see it's a lot larger than the existing one right now. A lot more space. Sometimes that work area can see 6, 7 healthcare professionals. To the left, actually to the right, there's a medication room and a designated equipment storage room. To the left, we have a procedure and trauma room, and this wall here in between the two rooms will open. So you can see with all the glass, the sight lines will be greatly enhanced. And this is the isolation room, separate bathroom. Just gonna head back to the ambulance bay. You see a designated EMS desk, working space in the enclosed ambulance bay. Just walking back out. And we're going to have some 4 additional exam rooms on the right with a quiet room for families in emotional distress. And back out to the waiting area. So that is the new Emerge ambulatory care services area. You're one of the first groups to see it. It's very exciting. So just moving along, just a bit about the campaigns. So the foundation has been planning the campaign since around 2021. In June of this past year, we have been working with the volunteer campaign leadership team, and there's a picture of the folks involved with the team. And we're currently reaching out to individuals and businesses that have the capacity to give major gifts. So we're working through this process until we raise approximately 70 to 80% of our goal. And when that target is reached, and with a groundbreaking milestone with the hospital, we try to mirror our timelines with their project timelines. The campaign would be launched to the public, and at that time we'd invite the entire community to help us raise the remainder of the funds.
Thanks, Erin, and thank you to Mayor and Council for letting us present. So currently the project is projected to come in at $20.4 million. And as Dr. Joe alluded to, MOH, or Ministry of Health, requires the hospital to come up with 10% of the overall redevelopment cost and 100% of the medical equipment within the building. So when you look at the split, local share will be around $2.7 million. 1.7 of that is the actual redevelopment, the building itself, the 9-10 cost share formula, and 1 million of that is furnishings and equipment. And there are some other, the split doesn't work necessarily in terms of 20.4 because there are some additional costs like consultants costs, etc., engineering that come in that would become the hospital's responsibility. So that's why the 2.7 isn't exactly 10% of the project costs. So in terms of just the local areas, there's some precedent out there with other communities supporting their hospitals. And previously this township has supported during the hospital medical equipment campaign in 2013. So thank you for that, and sorry to approach you again with another request. But there are precedents out there that show that townships do support their hospitals, like the township of Town of Huntsville and Bracebridge, as well as Faraday and Charlton Place, seen on the slide. So from the perspective of the township, it is a great opportunity to invest in the hospital, to help us grow, to help us grow together, and challenge, and it's a challenge to ensure that the hospital services are available today and for the future, for future generations in the area. When you look at the township itself in terms of the percentage of visits that go to that hospital, the KHR's number of visits is around 19% of the overall annual visits in 2023. So that's actually about 1,800 visits last year came out of this township. So it's a fair amount. It is actually the third highest contributor of visits to the hospital on an annual basis. If you consider the ask of $25,000 to the township, that works out to about just under $5 per household in the community when it's over 1,600 and 1,698 or 1,700 township households in the area. So again, from our perspective and hopefully from yours, it gives a great opportunity to help us invest in the area and to build our future together. And really the key thing, I guess, to think about, there are a couple studies out I guess the Canadian Journal of Rural Medicine, and there's a few US studies, not a lot, but there are studies out there that suggest by having a hospital in your community, for every physician, there's generally a spin-off of at least two jobs, and in addition to that, each hospital job supports another 2 additional jobs on top of that. What I mean by that is not just pharmacists or medically related jobs, but actually when you spin it out, it feeds out into the community, things like even stores and community support services all really funnel or start with the hospital at the top. And it is hard to believe, but it does suggest it. When you look at the hospital in itself in this area, it's one of the largest employers with 159 employees. You start to do the sort of pyramid, you see how much that actually affects the community from an economic perspective. So there's a strong argument to make that without a strong hospital, you really your community starts to perhaps not be strong as well. So we all depend on our hospital to really for the future and growth of our area. And I know personally for me, and it's the one I use when I go visit people, I made the decision to invest and move into the area with a 90-year-old father, and one of the main arguments for him moving from Western Canada to this area was to have a strong or a good hospital. So it really does resonate for me when I start looking at why and how this drives the local community. So thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Maybe I'll just turn it around and if anybody have any questions, start with Brian.
Yeah, just one question I want to put out there is, so what's the probability or likeliness of you being able to secure enough new doctors, physicians, nurses, and even staff to utilize all this new space? Because I'm under the impression right now that we're short of all of these. So how are you guys gonna be able to?
How many doctors is City of Ottawa short?
Pardon me?
How many family physicians is the City of Ottawa short?
Oh, I have no idea.
171. What about the City of Kingston? Both are medical school cities, okay? Don't forget, we're competing with those. How many are they short in Kingston?
Again, I have no idea.
27.
I'm asking you.
Okay, I'm just giving you these figures, and they're genuine figures. And if Barry's Bay wants to compete with Ottawa and Kingston. The city of Kingston just ponied up $1 million for doctor recruitment. We can't compete. One of the things we can compete is modern facilities and infrastructure. That's what doctors want when they graduate. Now a key phrase is turnkey operation. The doctor doesn't want to set up a practice. They don't want to buy the equipment. It's too expensive, even for an office. So they like turnkey offices. And this is far in the distance, but we're getting we're looking at the future as well. We have acquired with Valley Manor, the local township, and the hospital, an extra 26 acres of land. So we're not landlocked. You know, we're looking at this. And the entire province, not just the province, but the entire country, are biting their nails about family physicians and specialists. And again, I blame the Ontario government, the Bob Rae government in the 1980s, when they decided the way to cut healthcare costs would be to cut admissions to medical schools, cut admissions to nursing schools, which was totally the wrong thing to do. Vince Steep, who was chair of the board, he resides in Killaloe, and a couple of the physicians, we went to Toronto several times about this issue in the mid to late 80s. And I had an argument with a member of Ministry of Health, one of the bureaucrats. I said, no. And at that time, I said, okay, so Toronto has accepted 100,000 immigrants. How are you going to service them medically? Even if there's an attrition of 50,000, say 50,000 people die. I said, you'll still be left with 50,000. And the maximum that any doctor in Ontario takes on is about 2,000 patients. You just can't handle anymore. And now the norm is 600. And I said, for 50,000, you're going to need 25 new family doctors and you're going to need 25 new specialists. I said, that's 1/4 of your graduating class from University of Toronto. His answer was, well, you'll just have to absorb them into the system. So we're on our own to do the best we can. And one of the best things we can do is to have modern, well-equipped facilities. That's the only argument I can present. Right now, you might have heard what's happened in Sault Ste. Marie.
So you feel that if we have a nice new building there, that they will come there instead of going to Ottawa?
I have no idea. I can't promise the future. But I have an article for Mayor Mayville that I'll leave with him. And this is an article on what Mr. Pastre was saying. There is the economic impact of rural healthcare on rural economies. And this is a peer-reviewed article, and it's a recent article, and it's written by rural doctors. It's an excellent article. And there's a whole lot of ramifications. And Erin here worked as a recruiter, and at CME's Continuing Medical Education, I would meet her. And everyone was gathered around other displays, not for rural recruitment, as much as just looking at newer equipment, newer medication, this. And there was poor Erin standing there all alone. I said, I'm already recruited. You can't recruit me.
We have quite a few young learners that come
Yeah.
as well, that get exposed to a whole bunch of different hospital environments and working situations, and having a state-of-the-art hospital would definitely, in my view, help with recruitment.
This Sault Marie, I was going to finish on that, and just recently, the doctors are organized a little bit differently. They have several clinics throughout the city, and each time there was a nutrition or a doctor left, other doctors would absorb these patients. And they've reached their maximum to the extent where they can't absorb any more. And the number of doctors retiring between now and May or June, they will delist from their clinics 10,000 patients. So they're on top of the patients that don't have a doctor now, there's going to be 10,000 more without patients. And this is, a point of changing from hospitals to universities even. The mismanagement is abysmal. In 2019, Premier Ford decided to freeze tuitions to universities and colleges, 2019, plus decrease the tuition fee by 10%. Hasn't increased it. Laurentian almost went under till the government decided to help support it. Now, other universities, Queen's University, one of the best universities in Ontario, has financial difficulty. They can't make ends meet. And who's to blame? Not the people. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
I mean, perhaps the way to answer it is that there's a separate group within the hospital that are approaching the communities to look at how to fund and attract doctors, but without a high-tech new hospital, it becomes a harder challenge. So it doesn't guarantee it, but it sure helps an awful lot because of all the things that Dr. Joe just said.
And there is an addition of space, but we don't need more staff because of the space. We're just making up, we don't need additional staff, more doctors to staff that space. We're just keeping up with the times, really.
Carl?
Thank you.
Yes, Carl?
Aaron, I
Yes.
think you could recruit Dr. Joe to come back. He was my doctor for 30 years.
I was asked that last night, Carl. The question is excellent, and you can tackle government all you want. They wiggle their way out. It's common sense. Anybody in economics could tell you just can't cut.
Ted?
Yeah.
Yeah, I might have missed it, Aaron, but
Yeah.
have you raised any money yet?
We have, yes. So we've been out meeting with individuals and businesses since the beginning of June. We've had very positive meetings, and we have secured cash in of approximately 60% of the total local share, and upwards to 70% with counting in pledges. So the group is doing quite well. But we still have a ways to go, and that's why we're here this evening.
And just one more question for Dr. Joe. When you were talking, you had mentioned that the government won't cover 100% for all hospitals. So is there areas that they do cover 100%?
I think Moose Factory was covered 100%.
Okay.
But that's an entirely different situation. There is, most of the residents are Aboriginal, and they have no way of raising funds, basically.
Okay.
So that would be the
I
reason.
just thought you'd go say Toronto.
No.
Well, you're not off, because when push comes to shove, Humber Valley old age home or retirement home or whatever you want to call it, the hospitals were chock full of patients waiting for placement. They called them alternate level of care. And they couldn't get into nursing homes, there weren't the spaces. And all of a sudden, the Ford government decided we needed more space in Toronto because we need the votes. So Humber Valley, between concept to admitting the first residents, was just under 2 years. A 300-bed home. No problem when they want to do it.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Not enough votes in Barry's Bay and Gilroy.
My question is just about timeline. What are you anticipating this timeline's gonna be?
Yes, so the hospital, there's quite an approval process. There's like 5 main stages. The hospital received some really important approvals late last summer. So they got approvals for their block schematic drawings, and now they've moved into the technical drawing stage. So this is right down to the placement of wires. So they are hoping to submit soon, very soon. And then there's another approval process with the Ministry of Health. It could take a minimum of 2 months for this approval. It's hard to put exact timelines because
Are you hoping for like 2025 to get started?
it's the minute. So after the approval,
Uh-huh.
it moves into the tender stage.
Okay. I just worry about the cost going, you know how the cost of everything, it's like, you know, it's estimated at this, but you know, if it doesn't happen till 2026, 2027, how many more million?
So we
Might
don't
get put
expect
onto
it
that.
to go that long.
Okay.
And there are escalation fees built into the costs right now. There's actually regulations, so this is a 20 million project, and that's a small renovation build, and they actually can't go above
Okay.
that ceiling.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Bill?
As I'm sure you're aware, our municipality and all municipalities are facing the same pressures, the same escalating costs. There's only one taxpayer. We have infrastructure that's literally crumbling. People can't drive to their homes because the roads are so bad. We have a lot to pay for ourselves. If we can't afford this, is the hospital not going to go ahead with that or $25,000? Tough question.
It is a very tough question. You know, when you
I can answer that.
okay, go ahead.
Yeah. It's likely it would, but we have to get all the help we can from every municipality and every individual that can give. If somebody can't give, if a municipality feels they can't give, we have to accept that. But I don't think that would jeopardize the redevelopment. We're too far ahead on this.
And just to clarify, you're looking for $25,000 over 3 years. So that would be a 3-year commitment, not a one-time, not a one-shot.
Well, it could be on your terms as well, right? Whatever works with your council
And how did you come up with $25,000?
so we are approaching all the townships for approximately for 150,000, and so we looked at the previous support that the township has given in the past. We looked at the number of households, and we tried to base it on like around $15 a household, and so that would be $5 spread over 3 years.
Thank you.
Harold? No? Okay. Just back to Brian's point, as far as the recruitment and what entices the doctor to come, one of the big factors was the EPIC system, which your hospital put in. Was that funded provincially or locally?
All locally,
All locally?
$2 million.
Which is a tremendous asset for your hospital.
Yes,
And,
it is. actually Pembroke is coming online now, and we call that the 60 corridor. All the way from Huntsville, everything's connected.
Yeah.
And this was very difficult for the hospital, extremely difficult in 2018 when we approved it. And we had to raise 100% of that.
We were just faced with that request from the Pembroke Hospital to help with their Epic system,
Yes.
and they went through the whole show with us at
Did
the county,
they-
at the county level.
Did they tell you how much it will cost them?
No. So if the, as Maureen mentioned, shovels in, let's say 2025, and there's, the costs are basically not frozen, but they can go up a little more, would that increase the share per township or municipality?
No. No, we're not
Municipalities-
expecting the costs to raise because of the escalation fees built into the 20.4 million.
Aaron, except for equipment.
Oh, well, there's always a equipment list that grows and grows and grows from every year. So on top of the emergency redevelopment, there's $1 million built into the 2.7 for furnishing and equipment, but the foundation on top of that right now is raising money for a new mammography machine that we'll need in 3 years. New ultrasound, and that's $400,000. A new ultrasound machine is coming in March, this March, and that piece of equipment is $200,000. So there's all these ongoing capital costs that our community is raising money for as well.
I have to tell you that at our conference we were just at in Toronto with all the municipalities, one of the major topic conversations away from the formal part was the cost of hospitals, doctor recruitment, and how negligent the province is of not supporting this. And it's being placed on municipalities as opposed to the province. And it's, as Billy alluded to, it's a major hardship for the municipalities to come with. So that was the topic of conversation, and there's a lot of little advocate groups that are trying to hit those areas. I just wanted to share that with you.
You're the second mayor who's mentioned that I've heard exactly the same words. And, you know, if we don't have healthcare in a community, like, people are gonna die. Probably everyone in this room knows where the intersection of Highway 60 and Simpsons Pit Road is. Well, I could spend the next hour just talking about accidents that occurred in that area. And when the township wasn't united with Killaloe, Higgerty and Richards, you will recall an accident in Der Breisch, for example, very close to that intersection, where an employee's arm was blown off. Like, if that hospital wasn't here, that man would have died. I almost passed out when I seen him come through the emergency room door, but at least we had the equipment to know what to do immediately to resuscitate him. And he had another 10 years of life that he enjoyed in spite of loss of his arm. And I could go on, but and I agree with you wholeheartedly. It's just not healthcare, it's education, it's infrastructure, it's water and sewage, it's roads. We have the same thing in Madawaska Valley Township.
I'm not sure if the word is fair. It's not fair for the province to be downloading everything upon us, but at some point, we have to say, whoa, because we can't continually go to taxpayers and say, I need another dime. Like, the well is gonna go dry, and unless we start getting support from the provincial government.
Well, yes, and also common sense. How many in this room know what FIFA is? Who knows what FIFA is? what is it, rugby or basketball?
Soccer.
Soccer, okay. Olivia Chow complains that they have to raise taxes by 9.5%. But immediately, she also ponied up almost $100 million to support FIFA, to support soccer, people running around chasing a ball. Ford also ponied up $100 million for the city of Toronto. Out of 45 games in Mexico, United States, and Canada, Canada has 6 games.
Toronto is 6.
Yes.
Vancouver is 7. So there's
Okay.
13 games in Canada.
You didn't raise your hand.
I don't know what FIFA means.
But then, like, what's more important? When you have your heart attack, to have it treated? Or when you have your cancer, to have it treated? Or to watch somebody play rugby? It seems it's more important to play rugby than it is to look after infrastructure.
Well, if no one else has anything, thank you very much for your formative presentation.
Thank you.
Oh, could I just mention something, please?
No, I'm not coming back, Carl.
Fine, goodbye. No, we just got a resolution from Tweed here about Ford dropping the license plates, right? The fee on license plates for your vehicle. It is, we can find it back.
2.2 million.
It's $6 billion, and if he hadn't done that, there's 400 and some municipalities. Each municipality get $2,252,252.25. If he would have kept the license plates on there, and would he divided it up instead of losing $6 billion.
So maybe we're saying we should change our resolution to say that the money should be directed to healthcare?
Well, that wouldn't matter, sure. But see, that's $6 billion. And who cares about $120? I don't know.
Well, most people under 65 do pay for health care. There is a deduction on your income tax.
The township takes that off me and I'm 76.
No, it'd be bad.
So, council will discuss the request
Thank you so
during our
much.
budget sessions,
Thanks for coming.
keeping in mind the value and importance of our local hospital to the community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have any beef to cut?
We were Jan.
Yeah, I got an email.
We were Jan.
Oh, I am, yeah.
This is great, exciting,
Aaron
such
sent
an
it to me.
exciting project.
And I
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is a really good idea.
Hey Doc, you got no beef to cut?
Yeah, with the government. Oh, private care will solve everything in healthcare. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you.
know, have a good night.
Minutes.
Motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting.
Moved by Harold Levin, second by Warren McMillan, motion to approve the minutes of the regular council meeting of January the 16th, 2024, open session.
All those in favor? Carried. Motion to approve the minutes of the committee meetings. That's plural.
Moved by Brian Coffey, second by Harold Levine, motion to approve the minutes of the finance committee meeting of December 4th, 2023, open session. The special meeting of April 26th, 2023, open session. The special meeting of October 4th, 2023, open session. And the public meeting of October 10th, 2023, open session.
All those in favor? Carried. meetings. On your agenda, August 6th and August 20th. That's when AMO is. And so I'm going to have Tammy do a resolution for that, changing those meetings to it was August 13th as opposed to the 6th and 20th. Okay? So she's going to come up with a resolution for next meeting
So we're gonna have one meeting?
instead of two.
Disagree.
Yeah.
Well, she's going to come up with a resolution. We can discuss it at that time.
Why can't we
Well,
have it
there's no
on,
use coming up with a resolution if we're gonna disagree.
why can't we do it on the 27th?
Because that would be a week before the next meeting.
AMO's 2
the
weeks.
AMO
I can
is-
change that. I just thought it would be more convenient to
Is
be in the
AMO
middle.
2 weeks?
AMO is 2 weeks.
No, 1 week. I just thought the meeting in the middle would be more beneficial as opposed to,
But as you can see, if we get into a situation like we did tonight, that we won't have time to do nothing at that meeting, because
Yeah.
we'll have. a whole
And
month.
I think we decided, like, we tried that we had so much stuff. Wasn't there like the
We've
one?
already discussed this.
Yeah, we have discussed this, like,
So-
there's
so
so much at
meetings.
every
so instead of the 20th,
meeting.
your preference would be the 27th?
So when is the
When's
27th?
AMO?
That week of the 20th.
So we
Who's
can still
all
meet then on the
on
6th.
Yourself,
What's that?
just me.
Just you.
So the 6th isn't it, it is not.
The 6th is no
So
problem.
what, how many days you at AMO? We could switch to Tuesdays to Thursday or whatever.
We could do, yes, a meeting without the mayor. Someone could be a delegate, or,
AMO's the 19th, 20th, and
and then I
21st.
think there's precedent for that, isn't there?
19, 20, 21st?
Yeah.
Why don't we have it on the 20, what's the 22nd then?
Thursday.
It's a Thursday. I don't have any meetings.
Or if you wish, we could go the 13th and the 27th. Or keep it at the 6th and have it either the 13th or the 27th. Your choice.
Why don't we go 13th to the 27th, 13th and 27th then? Switch.
That's a good idea.
Well, I just don't understand why we're switching. If I'm gonna miss a meeting, we don't switch it. I feel bad that you're not gonna be here, but life has to go on. You can, AMO's only through the day. If you need, you can zoom in.
Okay, we'll play that one and we'll have further discussion on that. Dean?
Regular road maintenance continues and equipment checks. We're dragging some of the gravel roads with plow trucks with the behind, getting some ice off the roads. Really doing a good job with this milder weather. It's cutting it pretty decent. We're brushing with the tractor right now on Mask Road, from Round Lake Road to Simpson Pit. We're trying to get that road brushed so it gets more sunlight in there, so it dries up a little quicker in the springtime for the wet and stuff. We're also brushing as well with the chipper that we have, whenever we get a chance. We also been doing culvert checks there just to make sure, because of the mild weather, they haven't been freezing as well, thank God, and just making sure they're all open. Coal patching as well is when we can. I put a team in for KHR Roads at the Killaloe Curling Bonspiel this year. So we curled there last night. Didn't do fare too well. I'll be quite honest.
Call.
What's that, sir?
Well, I got a call the other day.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I'm getting to you. Yeah, and so they're playing tonight. They started tonight at 6:30, and apparently, yes, with the alumni is coming out of retirement to curl on Saturday. One of the council members here. So it's always a good time. It's always fun. So it's good to get the guys together, and not only just the roads guys, it's the waste side as well. So the guys are out there as well. The only other few things I have is we interviewed for Public Works position. We interviewed 5 of them. I think there was 12 in total. The 5 candidates we interviewed, they were all very good, but we'll be discussing that in camera. Other than that, waste management report, I sent a garbage bin out for repairs for some welding. GFL wouldn't want to take the one bin just because it had some welding to do on it and the doors didn't latch properly. So we had a person there the other day because we had cameras at the council. I had requested the council give permission to put cameras up at the landfill site. So we did have another person caught on camera again in at the landfill site, rummaging around and stuff like that. It was like 12 midnight kind of thing. I recommend, I know we had cameras there, but like you couldn't see his face or her face or whatever. It was just that they had a hoodie on and stuff. So I just recommend the council maybe putting motion sensors up. So if there's a light there, maybe it kind of distract them kind of thing. You can get the solar ones, I think, on Amazon. I'm not sure exactly how much. I know Darren there at the landfill site was going to recommend how much it would cost for that. Maybe just to deteriorate, maybe a little bit more. They're coming in and, we can't lock the bins because, can't lock the electronics just because then we have to give the keys then to Ready Recycling and stuff like that. So maybe if we put a couple motion sensors up around the building, maybe at the front gate, I'm not sure. So I just thought I'd bring that to council.
What are you rummaging for at like midnight at the dump?
Electronics bins, anything copper, I guess.
Ah, okay.
Probably wires.
Huh.
Can relocate them.
That's it for my report because I have stuff in committee.
I have a question. Are you around tomorrow?
Yep.
I just had a call from a taxpayer about a couple trees. If maybe you could meet me and look at them, I'm off tomorrow.
Sure. What time? Well, just text me
I'll
in the
give you
morning.
a
Call.
text there and see what works for you.
Sure. Yeah. Sounds good.
Okay, so I've got a couple of things. With council's authorization, I would like to go ahead and advertise for the summer student employment opportunities previously agreed upon. I believe that there were 7 positions in total, 2 roads, 2 swim, 1 visitor information, 1 community development, and 1 for both plant and visitor information center. So if council's okay with that, I would like to start that. I received a request from Robert Fisher, looking for data as to when the outdoor rinks were officially opened and closed over the last 15 to 20 years. If we have the data, I'm unaware of where it would be kept, but we could try to look at employee timesheets to try and find the information out. However, it would take a lot of staff resources and time. So I'm just asking if council wants me to move forward with this or decline this request.
Hasn't said what it's for?
What's the
He's
purpose?
going
What's
to-
the
he's,
pro-
wants to do
what-
an article on climate change.
Oh.
I believe it was climate change, just a minute. I'm looking at doing a story on the impact of climate change on small town winter activities.
Well, 20 years ago it froze hard, now it's thawing.
Last year on Saturday it was minus 34, so next year it might be minus 34. I say no, but we don't have,
Yeah, I don't think we have the staff
you have
resources.
enough stuff on your plate.
Staff Sergeant Pat DeSalvio contacted me and is asking to book the council chambers on March the 7th from 9 to 2 to host a meeting with the commissioner. The previous request that council approved, the commissioner had to cancel. So there was not a meeting at that time. So he's asking for March the 7th if council's okay with that.
Yeah.
Is it open? Nobody else has it, you guys don't have a meeting or anything?
Not that we know of, like on this point, it's a Thursday. In your package, I left the memorandum of understanding with the Bone Trace Snowmobile Club. So they're asking that we sign it. It's basically for Snowmobile Trail Land Use Commission within the township. And the period of the MOU is from January the 23rd of 2024 to January 5th of 2029. So I provided you a copy, and if you are in agreement, I prepared the resolution. So my resolution is moved by Maureen McMillan, second by Bill Smith, that council for the township of Killeen hereby directs the CIO clerk treasurer to sign the memorandum of understanding prescribed snowmobile trail land use permission with the Bomb Place Snowmobile Club.
Tammy, is this something new, or I don't recall ever signing one of these before? Is this a new document, or have we signed it?
I'm not sure. If we did, it would have been within, because this one here is from 2024 to 2029. If we did do one, it would have been filed a long time ago. So I'm not sure. I can't comment on that.
Any other questions? All those in favor? 1, 2.
Also, to the previous meeting, I provided council with the taxation policies and procedures. I did make a change to the wording on Schedule A to read, if your account continues to be neglected, the township will have the authority to register your property for tax sale under the Municipal Act. The previous sentence that was in that schedule read, if your account continues to be neglected, the township will have the authority to register your property under the Municipal Act. So I went a little bit further as to add that it would be registered under tax sale. And if council's okay with that policy, then I have a resolution prepared to adopt it. Moved by Carl Keel, second by Harold Levine, motion that council for the township of Killaloe, Hagerty, and Richards hereby approves and adopts the township of Killaloe, Hagerty, and Richards taxation policies and procedures dated February 2024.
All those in favor?
I received a request from, and we did talk about this at the finance meeting, from Aqua on Friday. Mr. Pilgrim has identified that the green sand contractor media that we discussed, that we were hoping to approve with the 2024 budget, actually needs to be replaced, and he would like to do it ASAP. So if council approves this request, I have a resolution prepared for the replacement. The resolution states, moved by Maureen McMillan, second by Carl Keel, motion that council for the township of Killaloe, Hagerty, and Richards hereby approves the request from Ontario Clean Water Agency to replace the green sand contractor media immediately for an approximate cost of $16,559.10, including taxes, for the 2024 budget year.
Questions or concerns?
Has to be done.
All those in favor?
And the last thing I have is, I received a request from Facility Asset Management, Manager Dale Thompson. He has indicated that the door opener at the Killaloe rink is no longer working and has become a safety concern. Mr. Thompson is asking that council approve the request to replace for the 2024 budget at an approximate cost of $850, including HST, for the replacement of the door opener. And I have a resolution prepared. Moved by Brian Kosky, second by Carl Keel, motion that council for the township of Killaloe, Hagerty, and Richards hereby approves the request from Facility Asset Management Manager Thompson to replace the door opener at the Killaloe rink at an approximate cost of $850, including HST, for the 2024 budget year.
Questions? Concerns? All those in favor? Carried.
And that's the end of my report for opening.
Just following up Tammy's report in regards to the, are we able to, I pulled a document off the computer from a newspaper. And this newspaper has been publicizing tax arrears. Are we able to do that, or is that unknown?
I don't know what they're publicizing.
We definitely could.
The address.
Well, absolutely not.
Is it for tax
Soon.
sale?
What's that?
Oh, for tax sale, yes.
Well, it says tax arrears list. Can I read you this and you can read it?
I can.
I've never seen this before, and this was the first one I've ever seen.
We're not gonna do it anyways.
Well, let's have Tammy read it.
Well, I'm telling you, I would never vote to have somebody's address put in the paper saying that they,
Shaming them for not paying their
well,
taxes.
exactly.
And you might be right, it might be when it gets to the point of sale.
You can go lot concession and so on, lot number, da-da-da-da-da, I've seen that in the paper, but
When
not
it's
a name.
registered for tax sale, the civic address does go,
Yeah,
That's different.
but
Yeah.
it should
Yeah.
go to the public.
but not a address.
Because
Not,
they're in
not,
arrears, so.
not an arrear, but if it goes up for sale.
Tax
Well, you get the lot and whatever number.
That's two different things.
And you just get back. And for those who did not hear today, Pembroke released their budget. Their lot levy was 7.94, and their tax increase was 7.9%. Councillor Pekoski, you had made a suggestion in regards to the next time we sit down with strategic plan, which is coming up very shortly, to include all of council. The more and more I thought about it, I think it's a heck of an idea. Does anybody have any questions in that regard? So for this budget, you'll have to come up with a date for a meeting, because we have to do our strategic plan with our budget.
You want a date now?
Sure, if you can.
When's our next budget meeting?
March 18th.
About the last week of February? Anything open there, or is anybody?
I'm good.
We don't have anything that week.
Yeah, we have the last week of oh no, not the last week of nothing.
Yeah, we put Tyler the week before, right?
Mine's wide open that week, so if it suits any night, whether it suits everyone.
What night?
How about Monday or Tuesday,
26,
26th, 27th, one of those?
Your call.
Yeah, either works.
27th?
27?
27th
Okay.
of February?
That strategic planning meeting?
7 o'clock?
Yep.
Thank you, Brian. What plans do we have in place to get through the next couple of months till the community development position is filled? I guess probably that's towards the chair and to the CAO.
We're gonna be talking about the committee.
Okay, that's that. I'd like to ask council, this has been done the last couple of years in neighboring municipalities, and that is to bring in the county of Renfrew human resource officer. And what he does, he comes in and does a presentation on what he offers in regards to human resources, whether it's job descriptions, pay grids, vacation, et cetera, Now, North Algona did it 2 years ago, and Mad Valley just finished theirs this year, and both groups have said it's very informative, and both groups went ahead and implemented some of the changes that they had, or used some of the services that they are providing. So, would council be interested in having him come and give us a presentation? It would be similar to what the community service people did when they came in.
This wouldn't hurt.
I think it would be a good learning experience for the new counselors, plus I might touch up on what you guys already know. Things have changed. I think it'd be good for an education purpose.
I'm not in a rush for it, I don't think it's a bad idea, I think we have enough meetings coming up over the next
I
couple
was
of
thinking
months
about
until we
March.
get through business.
Yeah, I was thinking about March. but we'll talk, no dates have been set, but I'll see what it is.
That's from the county, you said? or-
Yeah, the county,
And what's this guy's name?
Greg Belmore. So I'll chat with him and, come up with a timeframe, give us a couple dates and we can go from there. Is that okay with everyone?
Yep.
Last question in this section, as far as the human resource manual. Counselor Smith.
Yes,
Are we close? We
Tam.
We've got-
I can give it to council as to what it is and how far I'm done. It's not complete because I had meetings to take care of and, multiple, prior commitments, and so no, it is not completely done, but I can give it to council to the stage that it is for council's review.
Will that be okay? Whatever.
Well, do we need to review it before it's completely
We
done?
should wait till it's complete. I think,
Yeah,
And then review it.
maybe she's done with it and then,
Any idea when it could be done?
oh,
Tomorrow?
the more meetings we
So we-
schedule,
Yeah.
The last time I had.
Could we, is it a matter of time?
she doesn't know how long it's gonna take.
Of your time? It's a matter of
Yes.
your
It's
time.
a matter of my time, yes.
So, would council, like, I think this is pretty important for the employees of our organization. Would we sanction, authorize, overtime for Tammy to get this done?
She
You don't
does,
have the
I
time.
don't think
She doesn't
Tammy
have
has
overtime.
time, yeah.
put it
I'm
this
just
way,
trying to
when-
find an answer.
when
that's
she
all.
gets it done, she gets it done, and then we go through it.
the problem is that we're short of administrative staffing time.
I know.
Yeah, and we're down a key staff person,
Mhm.
and that puts an additional burden on the few remaining people, so.
There are, I know for sure, council will have questions when we have this, and there might, I'm not saying there will be, but there may be budget, items there that will affect the budget, that's,
I can guarantee that we'll get it done by the end of our term.
what's this? So, okay, we're not gonna use the term part, but can we put it in our time on it, or no?
We don't.
You can't put any more on her, she's got enough to let her catch up on, and Bill said, the more meetings we have, the
Yeah.
more she has to do that, she can't do that.
Okay, so if, during our next budget meeting, which is what, March what? 18. So I know there's 4 of us that probably will have questions in regards to that report. So we'll bring those questions forward to the rest of the council without the report, is that okay?
I don't understand what you're saying.
Okay, there might be a question in that report that
In
One-
what report?
the human resource report.
Yes.
There might be a question that we've thought of since we last sat down in June,
Okay.
and which might have an impact on our budget. So we can bring it forward at that finance meeting.
Yes.
Okay. Everybody okay with it? Correspondence. The will no ring. Enterprise Renters. Sponsorship proposal. Municipality of Tweed, and there is a resolution.
Moved by Maureen McClellan, second by Bill Smith, that council for the township of Clearview, Waverly, and Richards hereby supports the resolution received from the municipality of Tweed regarding license plate renewal fees, and further that this resolution be circulated to Premier Bill for all the municipalities in Ontario and AMO.
Any questions?
Yeah. No, not a question, but just discussion on this, so Mr. Keel, maybe you know, previous to when they took this off, how much money were we getting? $2 million?
No.
That's what they're saying they're gonna give us now.
And that's.
Do you believe that?
No, I
I don't either.
But they said, if it went for infrastructure, that's what they're saying. But it's not gonna go for infrastructure.
No, 90% of it, if they do, will go to Toronto.
It's gonna go to Toronto, and they're gonna get $200, and they're gonna get $2 million.
So they can play
And
soccer.
we're still gonna have to pay $120 a year for the license plate sticker. Just saying.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
No, go.
How many votes is that?
4.
2, 3, 4?
It's not gonna go through that.
Renfrew County Veterinarian Service Committee. The annual report.
I have a question. What do they do? What are we paying for?
Brian, that's the meeting you go to?
Pardon me?
Is that what you
Veterinary,
What's this about? What's
That is
the
to support the veterinarians of the county.
Okay,
So we have a committee, and each municipality pays, and then if you look at the schedule, so depending on the size of your municipality, you pay more. Like the down by Cobb and Renfrew, they're obviously more cattle, more animals down that way.
but are we paying for vet services or?
Yeah, it's a service, yeah, that's, I'm not sure the exact what they call it, it's a vet, there's 4 or 5 vets on the, it's like a board, yeah.
It's for farm animals, so
Okay.
it's for large breed, so it's not supporting the regular
It's a
domestic.
committee, but
It's the large breed,
Okay,
which we don't have a lot of vets in our, when cattle are in distress, or the farm animals are in distress.
okay.
they have a meeting once a year in Cobden that I attended last year, was my first time. My question is, am I still on that committee, Patty?
As
or-
far as I know.
You're the only one that goes.
So they have, because I saw they were looking for addresses of representatives, so they can, if there is anything, they would forward it.
I got this because it's our invoice as well.
Yes, and I noticed too that it stays at $280 last year, it's the same thing this year. And
I think
it
it's
hasn't
been
changed.
280 since
Yeah,
since
it
we've been
hasn't
on
changed
council.
in years.
We don't need to-
Seems like a bargain.
Yeah, if you ever need a vet, that's a small price to pay, I'll tell you.
Okay, moving along. Mike Kendall and his petition.
Did we discuss that?
That's gonna have to be discussed in committee of the whole.
No. Okay.
So we can't give you an answer right now.
We're going into committee, so.
In private, we have to discuss it.
Council of Canadians. I think it's basic information for yourselves, but they're having a climate cafe at the Madawaska Valley Library on Saturday, February 10th, from 10 a.m. till noon. Bylaws.
Moved by Carl Keel, second by Harold Levine, that bylaw number 06/2024, being a bylaw to authorize the execution of an amending agreement between the Corporation of the Township of Haggerty and Richards and Automotive Materials Stewardship, Inc. for the Municipal Corporation of the Township of Killu, Haggerty and Richards at its regular meeting held on February the 6th, 2024, beginning its first, second, and third reading, and finally passed the 6th day of February 2024.
Question,
Questions?
what is it?
It's pick up our,
I'm sorry, I was zoned out.
the, AMS, automotive materials, stewardess,
Tires and
they
stuff?
pick up our oils and,
Yeah, sorry, yes, they do.
and
The
they-
automotive plastics and
and
oil
they pay
filters and
us
stuff,
for it.
yeah.
Okay,
So
Thank you.
their rates have changed, they've gone up, which means we get more money. So then, we have to enter into agreement because the rates have changed.
okay.
All those in favor? Carried.
I learned so much of these meetings.
Is there any unfinished business? I have a couple of things. Community safety zones are up from the church to the school. If anyone hasn't seen them, they're up.
They've been up since the, beginning of summer.
Councillor Pukowski, remember we had discussion as far as the muscle signs?
Mm-hmm.
We should just keep that on our burner so that we know they have the signs already, I believe, the last comment. They got them from the fisheries or something, and
Yeah, I haven't heard.
but we'll have to stay in touch with them,
Yeah.
because that's pretty important for us.
Yeah, I have not been contacted from that group since that meeting, so.
And, Tammy, in regards to the green flashing signs for firefighters, have you had that conversation with Bob?
No, you had that conversation with him here at a council meeting?
Yeah. And then you sort of put it off because you had to talk to him. It was on your list or something? No?
No.
Okay, we need to start that up again. Whatever we have.
That's up to Bob.
Yeah. Bob didn't know anything about it, but Tammy was gonna talk to Bob, I think, or something.
What is it again, refresh me on that?
You know, the signs you'll see on the highway where if there's
Firefighters. Responding to.
Oh, yes, oh, yes.
I think we've mentioned this to Bob like almost every time he's been here, like a few times.
I do know the second time, or the one time when Bob was here, that he was unaware, he was unsure of what it was. But I didn't realize it was my job to talk to him. I thought you said that you were gonna talk to him, but I'll talk to him.
My last point on the unfinished business, I was going through and, the Pathway Park, when the ecology group had, was in use of that property, I think they paid $1 for the use of the land, is that correct? Something like that?
They did have a lease, yes.
Do we need to, because there is so much dollar value, associated with this, should we have a document prepared by a lawyer, with everyone signing off on it? 'Cause there's, when Chris did his asset deal, there was almost $400,000 worth of assets.
Yeah, but we own them.
It's our assets.
Mm-hmm.
They're our assets.
That
Well-
came from the Killu Pathways Park grant funding.
I'm not sure what you want paper-wise from the lawyer.
Well, should he take a look at it, and just so that everyone signs off on it, that this is, like say, the CRC has the two,
It's on the to-do list to have a memorandum of understanding. It's planned to be done following the HR manual and job descriptions. And CRC and the township are gonna split the legal fees on doing that memorandum of understanding.
and that will be done through our lawyer?
Likely, I think, so Tammy and I really haven't discussed it further than saying we'll do it after the HR manual.
Because I think it's important that, not for protection, but for
Yeah.
protection of everyone concerned, like, because there are so many parties involved, and us, so, okay. Is there any new business?
I have a couple things.
Yes, sir.
So, one is for council and the mayor, chairs of committees, just after the meeting tonight. We have a procedural bylaw we have to follow. And in that procedural bylaw, it states delegations have 15 minutes. And if they want to be longer, they have to be stopped and council has to approve letting it go on longer. So like tonight after 15 minutes, it was a great presentation, but we're not following the bylaws we make, so just to keep that in the back of our minds, we have to follow what we've agreed on. The second thing, and I was pretty upset when I read this in the Valley Gazette, Mr. Robert Fisher did an article, and it says, KHR Council passes important bylaws with no discussion. That upset me or got my blood up, because people that read that, certain individuals are going to be upset and think we're doing stuff. To me, it's fake news is what I think it is. What he was referring to was the bylaw we passed for where we borrow money from the bank so we can continue operations as a township.
If needed.
What's that?
If needed.
If needed. So Mr. Fisher, which I believe you will be watching this, that's been done every year for years and years and years, because that's how townships survive. I'd appreciate it if you didn't do articles like that or headings like that get everybody upset, because I did have a couple calls about it, wondering why we're just letting stuff go and not discuss it. So
The other two bylaws was the interim tax bylaw, which we need to pass in order to produce our interim tax bills. And the third one was
There was three.
I can't think right now, but it's something that we do at the beginning of the year. Oh, to appoint the committee of adjustment.
yeah.
The committee of adjustment has a expiry date of December 31st of each year, which that bylaw has to be passed each year. So those were the three bylaws. So the borrowing bylaw, the taxation bylaw, and the committee of adjustment. And all three bylaws were posted on the website the day after the council meeting. I was in Roma. He's made a comment in the article that I did not reply back to him. I was away in Roma at the conference, and I did not, was unable to check my emails. However, there was no follow-up call by phone call or no other email to any other personnel here in the township.
So just to state it again, a lot of these bylaws are passed yearly, and that's why there's no discussion. You will see we did some things tonight, resolutions, and there was quite a bit of discussion, and that never seems to make the paper. But that's
Thank
all
you
I
for
have.
bringing that up, Ed.
Just to add to that, I also had a few ratepayers call me wondering what was going on with that article.
Yeah.
And I wasn't at that meeting, so I had a hard time figuring it out myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
And as Tammy said, if needed,
if needed, yeah.
if needed, that's a very important part. And
I've been here 25 years and we've done it every year since I've been here. I don't know.
anything else, new business?
No.
Okay. Motion to enter into committee of the whole.
Night, kids.
Moved by Carl Keel, second by Maureen McMelody, to resolve that council meeting to a closed meeting pursuant to section 239 of the 2001 as amended for the following reasons: personal matters, whether an identifiable individual, including the municipal borough or employees.
All those in favor? Carried.
Night.
Night, Janet.
Good night.
Thanks for coming out.
I have the hiring resolution read?
Moved by Harold Levine, second by Maureen McMillan, that council for the corporation of the township of Killaloe, Hagerty, Richards hereby approves the hiring of Alan Kenneth for the truck equipment operator, full-time position within the public works department effective immediately.
All those in favor? Carried. Please be advised that staff have been directly coordinated to reflect the matters discussed in committee of the whole. Can I have a motion for the confirming bylaw?
Moved by Carl Keel, second by Phil Smith, that bylaw number 07-2024 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council of the township of Killaloe, Hagerty, Richards at its regular meeting held on February 6, 2024, be given its first, second, and third reading and finally passed this 6th day of February.
All those in favor? Carried. Motion to adjourn.
Moved by Bill Smith, second by Brian Kosky, motion to adjourn the regular council meeting of February 6, 2024, for the township of Killaloe, Hagerty, and Richards.
Anyone in favor?
All those in favor? Carried.
You never ask